The 1970s were a golden era for drive-in restaurants where cars lined up, trays hooked onto windows, and the sizzle of fresh food filled the air. Today, we're taking a drive down memory lane to revisit 23 of these beloved establishments that shaped American dining culture. One Howard Johnson's, founded in 1925 by the Howard Deering Johnson. Howard Johnson's, or Hojo's, as fans called it, was more than just a restaurant. It was an American institution. Known for its bright orange roof and family-friendly atmosphere, this chain became synonymous with road trips during the mid-20th century. By the 1970s, Howard Johnson's had over 1,000 locations, including many attached to motor lodges, making it a staple for travelers looking for consistent quality and convenience. Their menu was vast, but they were best known for their fried clams, grilled frankfurters, and 28 flavors of ice cream, a nod to Johnson's early days in the ice cream business. The brand thrived on the promise of home-cooked meals and was one of the first to emphasize cleanliness and customer service, setting a standard for the industry. The combination of great locations, visible buildings, a family-oriented atmosphere, and great consistent food made Howard Johnson's the star of the American middle-class restaurant industry. However, the rise of fast food giants like McDonald's and Burger King in the late 70s began to overshadow Hojo's slower, sit-down model. By the 80s, the company started declining, and today, the one location that remained in Lake George, New York, closed in 2022, a nostalgic reminder of a once thriving empire. We now move to the pizza-filled booths of our next drive-in on the list, to Shakey's Pizza Parlor.
Back in my day, there was no better place to grab a slice than Shakey's Pizza Parlor.
Shakey's Pizza Parlor, founded in 1954 by Sherwood Shakey Johnson and Ed Plummer in Sacramento, California, was one of the first franchise pizza chains in the United States. By the 1970s, Shakey's had grown into a cultural phenomenon with over 500 locations nationwide. Known for its lively atmosphere, the restaurant often featured live banjo performances and player pianos, offering a blend of food and entertainment that made it a popular spot for families and gatherings. The menu was centered around its signature thin-crust pizza, with toppings like pepperoni, sausage, and mushrooms, as well as hearty fried chicken and potato mojos, crispy seasoned potato wedges that became a fan favorite. Shakey's prided itself on being a place for good times and great pizza, with its rustic decor and community-oriented vibes drawing in regulars. By the early 1970s, Shakey's had become popular with families and youth sports groups in Southern California. The long rows of picnic tables, end on end, facilitated large groups. Youth sports teams would go to Shakey's after their weekend games, where the kids could eat pizza and have fun, and the parents could drink beer and socialize. In fact, the advertising motto for Shakey's was, "We serve fun at Shakey's, also pizza." One of the features of Shakey's was its large windows between the dining hall and the kitchen. One could order pizza and then watch as the dough was prepared, sauce and toppings added, and then pizza slid into the oven. Kids enjoyed watching the process and running to tell their parents when the pizza came out of the oven. Despite its popularity, Shakey's began to decline in the late 70s due to increased competition and changing consumer tastes. Many locations closed, and the chain underwent various ownership changes. However, Shakey's is not entirely a relic of the past. It still operates today, primarily in California and internationally in countries like the Philippines, where it enjoys massive success. Next up is a place where charbroiled burgers became an American staple. Hardee's.
At Hardee's, Nashville Hot Chicken.
Hardee's began in 1960 in Greenville, North Carolina, when Wilbur Hardy opened his first restaurant. By the 1970s, Hardee's was a powerhouse in the fast food industry, especially in the Southeast, with its char-broiled burgers and affordable menu standing out in a crowded market. The restaurant became known for its iconic Husky Jr. and Big Twin burgers, made fresh and served quickly, along with its trademark biscuits, a game-changer introduced in the late 70s. By the end of the 1960s, the corporation operated nearly 200 restaurants in the Midwest and southeastern U.S., as well as its first international locations in West Germany. Around this same time, Hardee's began an expansion into the mid-Atlantic states, notably southeastern Pennsylvania, southern New Jersey, and Delaware. The expansion was done via the franchisee Hardy Northern Inc., which was a subsidiary of Acme Markets, a prominent grocery store chain based in Philadelphia. The chain grew rapidly during this era thanks to a focus on franchising. By 1976, Hardee's had opened its 1,000th location, solidifying its presence in small towns and rural areas where competition was scarce. The brand leaned into its southern roots, with commercials emphasizing its real food, real fast promise. Hardee's also distinguished itself with its breakfast menu, particularly its handmade buttermilk biscuits, which would later become a signature item. However, the 80s brought challenges, including a corporate buyout and stiff competition from other chains. Despite this, Hardee's remains a major player today, though its identity has shifted over the decades. Let's roll into a quirky spot where a talking clown became part of the dining experience. Jack in the Box, founded in 1951 by Robert O. Peterson in San Diego, California, Jack in the Box quickly rose to fame with its innovative drive-through system and attention-grabbing marketing. Before establishing his restaurant, Peterson obtained rights for the intercom ordering concept from the George Manos, who owned one location named Chatterbox in Anchorage, Alaska, the first known location to use the intercom concept for drive-up windows. In 1951, Peterson converted the El Cajon Boulevard location into Jack in the Box. While the drive-through concept was not new, Jack in the Box innovated a two-way intercom system, the first major chain to use an intercom and the first to focus on drive-through. By the 1970s, this chain was a go-to destination for quick, tasty food served with a dash of humor. Their clown-themed speaker box at the drive-through became an iconic symbol, creating a unique experience for customers. The menu featured classics like hamburgers, fries, and tacos. Yes, tacos. Jack in the Box's deep-fried Americanized take on tacos became an unlikely cult favorite. In the 70s, the chain also began to experiment with breakfast items, pioneering the trend of offering breakfast all day. Despite its growing popularity, the 1970s were not without challenges. Jack in the Box faced stiff competition from McDonald's and Burger King, forcing them to innovate constantly. While some locations closed over the years, Jack in the Box remains a fast food icon, beloved for its quirky ads, late-night menu, and a sense of humor that has stood the test of time. Up next is a place where the past meets the future in style. 5. Sonic Drive-In.
Sonic Drive-In is unlike any other restaurant that I've ever been to.
Sonic Drive-In began as a Top Hat Drive-In in 1953 in Shawnee, Oklahoma, founded by Troy Smith. Rebranded as Sonic in 1959, the chain grew rapidly during the 1970s, becoming a staple in small-town America. By this decade, Sonic had perfected its carhop service, with servers often zipping around on roller skates to deliver food right to customers' cars. The menu was a treasure trove of diner-style favorites: burgers, chili dogs, crispy onion rings, and tater tots, paired with ice-cold cherry limeades and milkshakes that became synonymous with the brand. Sonic also stood out by allowing customers to customize their orders, a novel idea for the time. The 70s saw Sonic expand its unique drive-in experience to over 1,000 locations. Its slogan, "Service with the speed of sound," emphasized efficiency without sacrificing quality, making it a favorite for families and road trippers alike. Though some locations struggled to adapt to changing times in later decades, Sonic reinvented itself by blending nostalgia with modern conveniences, like app-based ordering, ensuring its place in the fast food landscape today. Let's move to another drive-in legend known for its frosty mugs and root beer floats. 6. A&W.
In the 1980s, A&W launched an advertising campaign to promote a new third-pound burger.
Founded in 1919 by Roy Allen and Frank Wright, is one of America's oldest fast food chains. Known for its legendary root beer, served in frosty mugs, A&W became a drive-in sensation by the 1970s. Its car hop service, complete with trays hooked to car windows, offered a quintessentially nostalgic experience. By the 70s, A&W had expanded its menu beyond its signature root beer, introducing burgers, hot dogs, and fries that kept customers coming back for more. The Teen Burger, Papa Burger, and their classic Coney Dog were crowd favorites. With over 2,000 locations globally by the mid-70s, A&W was a staple for families and teens seeking a quick, satisfying meal with a side of frothy nostalgia. By the 1970s, the brand had become a huge part of drive-in restaurants' culture. However, competition from McDonald's and Burger King began to affect A&W's dominance. By the late 70s, the chain transitioned away from drive-ins and embraced dine-in and takeout formats. While many drive-in locations have disappeared, A&W remains a beloved brand today, with restaurants still offering its iconic root beer and comfort food classics. Next up is yet another 70s gem, 7 Steak and Shake.
You can't hold the menu in your hand.
Steak and Shake,
famous for steak burgers.
Founded in 1934 by the Gus Belt in Normal, Illinois, Steak and Shake it became a beacon of quality during the 70s. The restaurant's slogan, "In sight, it must be right," reflected its commitment to making food fresh and visible to customers. Patrons could watch through glass windows as cooks smashed fresh ground beef into sizzling steak burgers. Belt's practice of wheeling a barrel of T-bone, sirloin, and round steaks into the public area of his restaurant, then grinding them into burgers in front of his customers, was intended to reassure customers of the product's wholesomeness, as at the time, ground beef was still viewed with skepticism by the general public based on the likelihood of its having impurities deliberately added to it. In the 70s, Steak and Shake's popularity grew, particularly in the Midwest. Their steak burgers, paired with hand-dipped milkshakes, became a comforting indulgence for families. Most people went there for one thing: the soft-serve ice cream cones dipped in chocolate. The crunchy chocolate coating around the soft ice cream was the best. Other favorites included the banana split in the sundae topped with chocolate or caramel sauce. The chain also kept its classic diner aesthetic, complete with striped uniforms for its servers and black and white tiled floors. Though the 70s were a golden era for Steak and Shake, the following decades brought challenges as fast food competitors gained ground. Many of the original drive-in locations were converted to dine-ins or closed entirely. Despite ups and downs, Steak and Shake survives today, blending its vintage charm with modern updates. Next on our list is a lesser-known but equally cherished chain that made its mark in the 70s. 8 Sandy's.
Big Scott, Big Scott.
Sandy's Big Scott.
Sandy's was founded in 1958 in Kewanee, Illinois by Gust Brick Lundberg, Robert C. Wenger, Paul White, and W.K. Davidson, a group of McDonald's franchisees who wanted to create a competitor focused on quality over mass production. By the 70s, Sandy's had blossomed into a thriving regional chain, particularly in the Midwest, with its Scottish-themed branding setting it apart. The menu featured hearty burgers, crispy fries, and shakes, with their signature Big Scott burger as a standout item. Sandy's was also known for its family-friendly atmosphere, offering lower prices than many competitors. Their mascot, a cheerful Scottish boy in a kilt, was a favorite among kids. However, the 70s marked the beginning of the end for Sandy's. A merger with Hardee's in 1972 led to most Sandy's locations being rebranded. Today, only memories and a few retro signs remain of this once-beloved chain. We now head to the next stop, where root beer flowed as freely as the good times. 9 Dog and Suds. Dog and Suds began in 1953 in Champaign, Illinois, founded by two music teachers, James Griggs and Don Hamaker. The second restaurant was opened after the owners were paid to build another by a wealthy patron, and from there the owners decided to create a franchise. A training center was established in Champaign named Rover College after the dog on the restaurant signage. This place brought together two things everyone loved: hot dogs and the famous root beer. By the 70s, this drive-in chain was thriving, boasting over 650 locations across the United States. Their slogan, "America's Favorite Drive-In," encapsulated the cheerful vibe that made it a hit with families and teens alike. The menu revolved around classic drive-in fare: hot dogs, the dog in the name, burgers, fries, and their iconic root beer, brewed on-site for an authentic old-fashioned flavor. Served in frosted mugs, the root beer became the chain's calling card. Dog and Suds locations often featured retro-style architecture with carhop service, adding to the nostalgic charm. Unfortunately, competition from larger fast food chains caused Dog and Suds to decline in the late 70s. While many locations closed, a few franchises remain, keeping the brand alive for those craving a taste of the past. Next is another lesser-known but unforgettable drive-in from the era, 10 Wesson's. Wesson's Drive-In may not be as widely recognized as other chains, but it held a special place in the hearts of those who dined there during the 70s. Founded in the South, Wesson's became known for its Southern-style comfort food, including fried chicken, biscuits, and hearty sides like coleslaw and mashed potatoes. The restaurant offered a no-frills approach to dining, focusing on big portions and bold flavors. Wesson's carhop service made it a popular gathering spot for families and young adults seeking a quick, satisfying meal without leaving their vehicles. Though Wesson's enjoyed a loyal following, it struggled to expand beyond its regional roots. By the late 70s, many locations had closed as larger national chains took over the market. Today, Wesson's exists only in the fond memories of those who experienced its home-style charm. Next up is a quirky chain that left a lasting impression: 11 Red Barn.
This is the first big burger that really tastes great.
Even the bun tastes better.
That's Red Barn's special bun.
Red Barn was an unforgettable fixture of the 70s fast food scene. Founded in 1961 by Don Six, Jim Kershaw, and Martin Levine in Springfield, Ohio, it gained fame for its barn-shaped buildings and hearty menu offerings. By the 70s, Red Barn had over 400 locations across the U.S., Canada, and Australia, making it a beloved chain for families. Originally, the Red Barn restaurants were in the shape of barns with a glass front and limited seating. The design of the building was patented in 1962 by Red Barn Systems, Incorporated of Springfield, Ohio, which granted the franchise licenses. Later buildings had the familiar fast food-style mansard roof, which allowed them to comply to more local building codes. The menu featured classics like the Big Barney and Barnbuster burgers, fried chicken, and fish sandwiches. But what truly set Red Barn apart was its salad bar, a rarity in fast food at the time. Red Barn also introduced Barnbuster Fun Meals, one of the earliest predecessors to the modern kids' meal concept. Red Barn was also environmentally conscious, using minimal packaging. Despite its innovations, Red Barn struggled against larger chains like McDonald's and Burger King. By the late 70s, Red Barn was acquired by the City Investing Company, which decided to phase out the brand. Most locations were closed or converted into other restaurants, but the memories of its whimsical barn aesthetic linger. Next, we drive into the world of flame-grilled innovation with a true pioneer of fast food, 12 Burger Chef.
Open wide, America. Burger Chef's got thick, juicy, terrific burgers for you.
Burger Chef, founded in 1954 in Indianapolis, Indiana, by a Frank and Donald Thomas, revolutionized fast food during its heyday. By the 70s, it was one of the largest chains in the U.S., with over 1,200 locations. Burger Chef is credited with introducing some of the industry's most iconic features, such as the first value meal, called the Fun Meal, which included a burger, fries, a drink, and a toy, a concept later popularized by McDonald's Happy Meal. Their flame-broiled burgers, such as the Big Chef and Super Chef, were standout menu item, along with their famous Works Bar, allowing customers to customize their burgers with various toppings. This DIY experience was a novelty that set Burger Chef apart from competitors. However, despite its innovations, Burger Chef faced declining sales in the late 70s due to increasing competition and financial troubles. The brand was eventually sold to Hardee's in 1981, and most locations were rebranded or closed. Up next is a place where burgers met pizza in a unique fusion. 13 Gino's Hamburgers.
Hi, everybody. Oh, it's your old friend Soupy Sales. And you want to know why everybody goes to Gino's? Well, it's because of all the good food you get there.
Gino's Hamburgers was the brainchild of NFL Hall of Famer Gino Marchetti and his teammates Alan Amiche and Joe Campanella. Founded in 1957 in Baltimore, Maryland, Gino's became a regional powerhouse in the 70s, combining fast food with a touch of sports flair. Gino's signature burger, the Gino Giant, was its answer to McDonald's Big Mac, featuring 2 beef patties, lettuce, cheese, and the chain's secret sauce. The restaurant was also known for hamburgers, such as the Sirloiner, which was made from sirloin steak and was originally a staple of Tops Drive-In, and the Jumbo Gino, which was very similar to the Whopper. Gino's locations often shared space with Kentucky Fried Chicken franchises in partnership with Colonel Sanders, creating a unique dual-brand experience. The chain also became known for its community-focused marketing, appealing to families and local sports fans. The restaurant's jingle in the early years was, "Everybody goes to Gino's, because Gino's is the place to go." Gino's also had an expansive salad bar and roast beef sandwiches. Despite its success, Gino's struggled to compete with larger national chains. It was sold to the Marriott Corporation in 1982, which converted most locations into Roy Rogers restaurants. In 2010, the brand was revived with a single location in Maryland, a nostalgic nod to its former glory. Next, let's head over to a place where affordability reigned supreme, 14 Wetsons. Founded in 1959 by Herbert Wheatonson, Wetsons was New York's answer to McDonald's. By the 70s, Wetsons had carved out its niche with 70 locations in the New York metropolitan area. The chain's slogan, "Buy a bagful," reflected its focus on affordability and convenience, with burgers priced at just 15 cents in its early years. It was the kind of spot that always attracted families, kids coming from school and anyone looking for a quick, tasty meal. It was almost impossible to resist the smell of grilled burgers and crispy fries. Like most drive-ins, you parked your car, placed your order through the speaker, and soon a server would bring your food right to the car. Wetson's signature item, the Big W, was a double patty burger loaded with lettuce, cheese, and their special sauce. Paired with crispy fries and a frosty milkshake, Wetson's became a popular stop for families and commuters. Its bright orange and white striped buildings were instantly recognizable and added to the brand's charm. Unfortunately, Wetson's couldn't keep up with the rapid expansion of McDonald's and Burger King. By the late 70s, many locations had closed, and the chain eventually disappeared. Still, its loyal fans remember Wetson's as a quintessential part of 70s New York dining. Fast and affordable ruled the day for our next drive-in on the list. 15 Hot Now.
Welcome back to Set Streets and Eats, guys. I'm Chris Bauer. I am in Sturgis, Michigan, in front of the last Hot Now burger.
Hot Now burst onto the scene in 1984, a bit later than most chains on this list, but its roots in drive-through culture were deeply influenced by 70s drive-in traditions. Founded by the Will Van Domelen in Kalamazoo, Michigan, Hot Now focused on delivering hot food at lightning speed. Its no-frills menu featured burgers, fries, and shakes, with most items priced under $1, a winning formula for budget-conscious diners. Its drive-through only format eliminated dining areas, streamlining operations. During its peak in the late 80s and early 90s, Hot Now had over 150 locations, but its rapid growth was unsustainable. In 1990, it was acquired by the PepsiCo, which placed operations under its Taco Bell unit. Van Domelen resigned from the company soon after the sale. The company began making changes to the chain's concept that frustrated the franchisees, starting in 1992 with the menu. Hot Now president Don Pierce left the company in 1993. Support to franchisees declined soon thereafter. Hot Now was treated as a test brand. In the first quarter 1995, the company closed 80 corporate-owned stores with the expectation to sell all the corporate-owned locations to franchisees or licensees. The chain faced stiff competition from larger brands and struggled to maintain quality. By the early 2000s, most locations had shuttered, with only one remaining in Sturgis, Michigan, as a nostalgic holdout. Next up is a drive-through gem that spiced up the 70s. 16 Carol's.
Guys, good morning. This is my first time at Carol's, and so I had to ask them to cook up their favorites. I know this isn't Carol's first time on Good Day.
Carol's, founded in 1960 in Syracuse, New York, began as a regional drive-in chain that quickly became a favorite among burger enthusiasts. The brainchild of Herb Slotnick, Carol's featured a menu of affordable and delicious burgers, fries, and shakes served in a vibrant, car-friendly atmosphere. Its most iconic item was the Club Burger, a stack of beef cheese and tangy sauce that rivaled competitors like McDonald's and Burger King. By the 70s, Carol's had expanded to over 150 locations, predominantly in the Northeast and Midwest. Its eye-catching orange, yellow, and brown branding made it stand out, while the drive-in format attracted families and teenagers alike. Carol's also embraced quirky promotions, such as collectible glassware and themed meal deals, which further cemented its popularity. However, Carol's success was short-lived. By the late 70s, the company shifted its focus after acquiring the rights to Burger King franchises in its operating regions. Many Carol's locations were rebranded as Burger Kings, and the original chain faded into history. Despite its disappearance, Carol's nostalgic charm and innovative marketing strategies remain fondly remembered by those who enjoyed its unique offerings. Next is a restaurant that back then was the Tex-Mex favorite. 17 Zantigo.
Zantigo is a Mexican-American fast food restaurant chain that started in 1969.
Zantigo, originally founded in 1969 as Zapata by Marno McDermott in Minnesota, was a beloved Tex-Mex fast food chain that gained traction throughout the 70s. In 1976, the chain of Zapata Mexican fast food restaurants was renamed Zantigo. Its menu featured Mexican-inspired classics such as tacos, burritos, and enchiladas. What set Zantigo apart was its bold flavors and signature dishes like the Chilito, a chili-filled burrito that became a customer favorite. By the mid-70s, Zantigo had expanded significantly, with locations popping up across the Midwest. The chain was known for its distinctive orange and yellow color scheme and quirky cantina-style interiors. Zantigo provided a unique alternative to traditional burgers and fries, making it a hit with adventurous diners. However, the rise of a Taco Bell spelled trouble for Zantigo. By 1986, it was purchased by Taco Bell's parent company, which eventually converted most Zantigo locations into Taco Bell outlets. A few independent Zantigo locations were revived in Minnesota in the 2000s, keeping the chain's legacy alive. Let's move to a health-conscious trendsetter of the 70s, a chain ahead of its time. 18 Delights of America.
Delights of America was a fast food chain that opened in 1978 and closed in 1987.
Delights of America was the brainchild of entrepreneurs Doug Shelley and Jeffrey Miller, founded in 1978 in Norcross, Georgia. The chain was revolutionary for its time, offering low-calorie and health-conscious fast food options during an era dominated by greasy burgers and fries. The menu featured items like lean burgers, whole wheat buns, and guilt-free desserts like frozen yogurt, marketed under the tagline, "Less is more." Delights catered to health-conscious diners, particularly women who sought lighter meals without sacrificing flavor. At its peak in the early 80s, Delights boasted over 100 locations across the United States. Unfortunately, the chain expanded too quickly, and its niche focus couldn't compete with larger, more established brands. The chain's closure was due to other chains such as McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's beginning to offer healthier sides such as salads and baked potatoes, as well as Delights buying back of several unsuccessful franchise locations. By the late 80s, most Delights locations had closed, though the concept influenced future health-focused fast food chains like a Subway. Next is a chain that delighted families. 19. Burger Queen.
Picnics are always a picnic with Burger Queen fried chicken, specially breaded and fried to a golden brown. Order a 10, 15, or 20-piece box, and you get our picnic pack free.
Burger Queen, established in 1956 by Harold and Helen Kite in Middletown, Kentucky, was a regional favorite throughout the 60s and 70s. With its family-friendly branding and playful name, Burger Queen offered hearty, affordable meals that rivaled national chains like McDonald's and Burger King. The menu featured burgers, fried chicken, and shakes, with the Royal Burger being a standout item. Burger Queen also catered to kids with colorful mascots like Queenie Bee and appealing meal deals. Its unique marketing approach positioned it as a fun, local alternative to the larger fast food giant. By the late 70s, Burger Queen began expanding and rebranding. By the time the chain changed its name to Druthers in 1981, it operated over 170 restaurants in 7 U.S. states and internationally. Still small fries compared to larger competitors like McDonald's and Burger King. However, Druthers outlets closed throughout the 80s, and in the early 1990s, Druthers made a deal with the Dairy Queen to become its territorial operator in Kentucky and surrounding states, converting over 100 locations into Dairy Queen franchises. Next was a drive-in and a sandwich paradise, all in one restaurant. 20 Rack's roast beef.
Welcome back to Set Streets and Eats, guys. I'm Chris Bauer. I'm in Lancaster, Ohio, in front of a Rack's roast beef sandwich restaurant.
Rack's Roast Beef was founded in 1967 in Springfield, Ohio, by Jack Rochman. By the 70s, Rack's had become a go-to destination for roast beef lovers, serving up tender, slow-cooked sandwiches stacked with thinly sliced beef and topped with rich sauces. Unlike many fast food chains, Rack's offered a more upscale experience. Its menu included not only roast beef sandwiches, but also baked potatoes, salads, and a dessert bar. Rack's locations often featured cozy, wood-paneled interiors, making them a popular choice for families. By the late 70s, Rack's had over 100 locations across the Midwest and Southeast. However, the 80s brought financial struggles as competitors like the Arby's gained ground. Rack's attempted to reinvent itself as a high-end fast food chain, but ultimately overexpanded. By the 90s, most locations had closed, though a few independently operated Rack's restaurants still exist today. We close out this video with the crown jewel of drive-ins, 21 Whataburger.
How do you say it? Is it what a burger or what?
Okay.
A burger or what a burger?
Founded in 1957 in Corpus Christi, Texas by Harmon Dobson and Paul Burton, Whataburger is a true American icon that thrived during the 70s. Known for its massive burgers served on 5-inch buns, Whataburger quickly earned its name by offering a burger so big and tasty, customers would exclaim, "What a burger!" In 1967, the company commissioned the Flying W Company logo, and the company expanded to 40 restaurants in 4 states. In 1971, the company opened its first drive-through store, and in 1972, it opened its 1,000th store. In 1974, their A-frame design was changed to a modern A-frame to accommodate drive-thrus and larger dining room. By the 70s, Whataburger had expanded across Texas and neighboring states, becoming a beloved staple for road-tripping families. The orange and white striped A-frame buildings became a symbol of the chain's commitment to quality and consistency. Whataburger's menu included classics like the Whataburger, the Patty Melt, and their famous spicy ketchup, all served served 24 hours a day. Unlike many drive-in chains of the era, Whataburger successfully adapted to changing time, transitioning from carhop service to dine-in and drive-through format. Today, Whataburger remains a cherished brand with over 900 locations, embodying the spirit of 70s drive-ins while continuing to serve new generations. 22 Big Boy Drive-In.
At Big Boy, before a recipe is put on a menu, it has to get past the big guy.
Big Boy Drive-In, founded in 1936 by Bob Wien in Glendale, California, was a pioneer in the fast food industry and a beloved drive-in of the 1970s. It became known as Bob's Drive-Ins, Bob's, home of the Big Boy hamburger, and commonly as Bob's Big Boy. Its flagship offering, the Big Boy Burger, a double-decker hamburger with a special sauce, set the standard for what a signature fast food burger could be. By the 1970s, Big Boy had grown into a nationwide phenomenon, with franchises like Bob's Big Boy, Shoney's Big Boy, and Elias Brothers Big Boy operating under the same banner. The chain became synonymous with roadside dining and was famous for its iconic mascot, a chubby boy in red and white checkered overalls holding a burger aloft. Big Boy drive-ins were quintessential Americana, featuring car hops on roller skates and a menu that extended beyond burgers to include milkshakes, fries, and breakfast staples. The cozy, diner-like atmosphere made it a popular stop for families and teenagers alike. While the chain adapted to changing times, converting many drive-ins into full-service restaurants, its drive-in roots remain a cherished memory for those who experienced its heyday. Today, a handful of Big Boy locations still operate, keeping the nostalgia alive for fans across the U.S. 23 White Spot.
Our Taste Like Spring menu, inspired by Melissa Craig. White Spot, fresh thinking, fresh cooking.
White Spot, founded in 1928 by the Nat Bailey in Vancouver, British Columbia, became a pioneering force in the drive-in restaurant scene. Known for its iconic car hop service, the chain catered to families and teenagers seeking high-quality food with a side of nostalgia. The menu featured the legendary Triple O burger, which gained fame for its tangy Triple O sauce and perfectly toasted buns. Customers could enjoy their meals from the comfort of their cars, with servers delivering food on window trays. The chain also introduced Pirate Packs, kid-friendly meals served in a whimsical boat-shaped box, a concept that remains popular today. By the 1970s, White Spot had solidified its reputation as a beloved dining destination in Western Canada. Though the original drive-ins have largely been replaced by dine-in restaurants, the chain has expanded its reach and evolved its menu to include modern fare while retaining its classic staples. White Spot's ability to adapt while preserving its charm keeps it a nostalgic favorite, much like the other drive-ins of the era. And that's all for this video. Which drive-in locations from the list do you remember from your childhood? Which ones do you think we should have talked about? Tell us in the comments, and don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more nostalgic food journeys. Until next time, bye for now.